Hi, Professor. This is Amanda, and I'm doing my project on Snapshot Ruaha from Zooniverse. So this is an introduction page, and there's a photo that I found on Wikipedia of the Ruaha Safari. And Snapshot Ruaha is the citizen science project that goes along with the Ruaha Carnivore Project. And it takes place in Ruaha National Park, which is located in Tanzania. And surrounding the park are village lands, 3 game reserves, and a wildlife management area. And the national park is really important because it doesn't have fences, despite being home to a lot of different species of animals, including elephants and zebras and impalas, and a lot of animals like that. And it's also home to 570 or so species of birds, which is a lot. So some background on the project. Snapshot Ruaha is aimed at reducing human-wildlife conflict and to restore and preserve the populations of carnivores in Ruaha. Because since there's no fences that keep the animals in the national park, they often end up on the game reserve or on the village lands, and they will either hurt the people or the villagers will hurt the animals because they're scared and they don't know what to do, or sometimes they kill them. Well, the villagers don't, but sometimes trophy hunters and poachers come in and will kill the animals. So this is aimed at trying to reduce that and trying to protect both the animals and the people at the same time. And something else that is pretty cool is that in order to kind of incentivize, or not exactly bribe, but to make the villagers want to be involved in this, they give them opportunities generally surrounding education to make them more interested. So the project basically says to villagers, well, if you help us, we'll help you and we'll give you more schools, we'll give you funding for the schools that you have, or things like that. Because in this particular area, primary school is free, but secondary school isn't. And a lot of parents only send their kids to the free school and then have them at home helping with work and making money instead of getting a higher education. And also, lots of people don't send girls to school because they believe it's unnecessary if they're just going to become wives and not really do anything with the education. So part of what the Carnivore Project does is it tries to help benefit the schools in the area. So they'll match up a school in Ruaha with an American or an English or European school, and there will be funding shared and things like that. And that's called the Kids for Cats program, and the schools that are matched up are called twin schools. And then I don't think I have it here. Oh, I do. Another thing that they do is that they provide scholarships to send 6 kids, 3 girls and 3 boys, on a full tuition scholarship to secondary school. And those are generally kids like really good grades and stuff like that. So not only does the project help the wildlife in the area, but it also aims to help the people that live there too. So there is only one scientist listed on the Zooniverse page as working on this, and that is conservation biologist Amy Dickman, who seems pretty accomplished. And when I looked her up, I found that she's a Kaplan Senior Research Fellow in the Wildcat Conservation, I guess, department of Oxford University's Wildlife Conservation Research Unit. And she's worked with the Cheetah Conservation Fund in Namibia and has been researching in Africa for 20 years. She has a specialization in camera traps and big cats, which are both big parts of the Ruaha Carnivore Project, since a lot of the carnivores in this area are big cats like lions. And I don't know if I said it, but Ruaha is home to one of the most significant populations of lions in the world. So why did I choose this project? I really like animals, so even though I like plants and things like that, I decided I wanted to do something that had animals. So instead of a plant-based project or a related project, 'cause I know there was like an insect one or something like that. I'm not too into that. So I chose this because it had animals and because of the picture, which I don't know if you can see my mouse, but I'm trying to circle where the image that I saw. It's a picture of a type of hoofed animal. I don't actually remember what species, but I thought it looked cool, so I ended up doing this one, and I ended up liking it. And then in the picture, the other picture I have circled a zebra. This is a screenshot of one of the images that I was shown. And yeah, the zebra at night. So methods and data collection. This project uses, I think most of the ones on Zooniverse do, but this one uses camera traps. And those are cameras that are set to take images whenever there's a surface change in surface temperature. So basically anytime something moves in front of the camera, whether it's a leaf that provides shade so that makes the temperature lower, or an animal with body heat which makes the temperature rise, it snaps a photo. So a lot of times you don't see much of anything like in the picture I have on this page, but sometimes it's an animal and it gets very exciting when there is an animal. And then the method that the cameras are set out by is that there are members of the villages who are like titled community camera trap officers, and they're trained to put the cameras out, and there's incentives given, and they have a whole thing where like if you put camera traps out in the spots where there's more animals commonly seen in the village, because there's certain areas in a village where animals are seen more than others. And the whole point of the camera trap is to take photos of animals. So they incentivize people to put them in the areas where the cameras will definitely see animals. And the more pictures of certain animals that the cameras get, the more points the village racks up. And then based off who has the most points, there's additional benefits that they get on top of the already like twin school kids for cats matchup whole thing. And the reason they do this is because a lot of times they were seeing that they, meaning the researchers, put out the camera traps on their own, and it didn't really do much. The cameras were getting stolen. They didn't really know where good areas to put it were. So they realized they needed the villagers to do it, but they needed a way to get the villagers interested. So they ended up training them. They taught them why it's important to see the animals and all of that, because at first the villagers didn't really care too much, but it seems like their method has worked. And then another thing, which I don't have on the slide, but is in the image, which once again, I don't know if you can see, but I'm circling it, is in the Zooniverse project. After you see the image, you're supposed to go through the list of like all the animals that it could be, and you have to choose one. And once you click on it, it gives you the option to say how many, what it's doing, whether it's like drinking or eating or walking, and a few other things. And if there's nothing, then you put no animals present, and then you go to the next one, and that's how that works. So then results, I know this is probably going over time, I'm sorry, but results are that Snapshot Ruaha is actually 100% done. When I first joined the project, it obviously wasn't 100% done, but it was relatively close. And then in the past few weeks, it finished, which is really great. And I have the numbers of how many people and how many images were classified on the screen. But the data that comes from these camera traps is being used to make sustainability maps. Nope, I said that word wrong. Suitability maps, sorry, that show where lions and spotted hyenas and leopards and other animals are. And they kind of put hotspots where the carnivores are being killed, like the animals I just listed. And I have a picture of the map that Zooniverse provided in the results section on my screen. And it shows where a lot of the killings of carnivores have been happening. So that way they know where to focus their future. Oops, I went the wrong way. Sorry. I was just checking to make sure that I was still recording, and then I accidentally hit the other stuff. But yeah, so it shows where they need to like move their efforts to in the future to try to educate people and incentivize them to not harm the animals, because that has been a big issue in this particular area. And then there also are benefits to the people, because by participating in this project, they're getting benefits like getting more funding or supplies for their schools, having some of their children being like getting scholarships to go into higher education and things like that. And the more that they help, the more benefits they will receive, or at least that's how it's meant to go. And yeah, so then the last thing that I'm supposed to talk about is like my impressions and opinions of it. So I liked using the site. I found it pretty easy to use. And then my overall opinion of citizen science is that it's pretty cool because, you know, a lot of times science feels like this long, distant thing that happens somewhere else. You don't really know how it works. You don't get to see the people doing the research or the experiments or whatever it is. And citizen science kind of lets you feel more included in that and help as best as you can without really being trained for it. So that's cool. I liked it. I thought it was interesting. I was surprised a bit by how like the research could look like, because I never realized that like just going through images and saying, hey, this is a elephant, this is a giraffe, would be so helpful, but I guess it is. And another question I'm supposed to answer is, would you volunteer your time on the site again? Yes, I would. I actually went over the 30 minutes for this project and for the other one just because I like doing it. I like being able to help, like I feel like I'm helping out. And also I like animals a lot, so why wouldn't I want to look at pictures of animals while also helping researchers? And that's all the questions. There's not really anything else I would like to add, I don't think. Just that it's pretty cool. And I'll probably do it again periodically for other projects. Yeah, I hope I covered all the bases here. As you can see in the images, these are screenshots of like photos that I saw when I was going through it that had animals in it. And yeah, so thanks for watching, and have a good day. Now I have to figure out how to turn off the recording.